Hi everyone, it's Phil from Ashland, and today I have a lot of really special stuff to show you. I've got a really crazy shell here from skip pouring. There's a couple before and afters that I have here from things that have been worn 5 years, so those are really cool to look at. I've got a new item and then some stuff that we're shipping out today, but let's start off first with this really intense piece of Cordovan, and I don't know what this is, but last week Skip Horween asked me over to bring him some of our irregular wallets for him to purchase as gifts for maybe for himself or his friends, but he wanted to know how much I wanted for him and for them, but he ended up making a trade with some crazy shells here. So I saw this one, he offered it to me, and I just felt like I had to make something for myself out of this. So I don't know what to call this. It kind of looks like rust on a piece of copper after it's been oxidized a bit. So I'm gonna call this one Verdigris, but this one has a really neat tumble pattern. It doesn't feel bumpy, but it appears bumpy, which I think is really fascinating. But look how it's just like so crazy and awesome. I don't even know what to think about this. It's just so awesome. And I was a little hesitant to show this because Skip had mentioned to me that this is not something that he's able to sell because we don't know if we can reproduce it. So there's always that concern for the tannery of when they're coming up with these crazy things, whether or not it's able to be done twice. But anyways, this one's really cool. I'm gonna make myself a fat Herbie out of this. I just can't resist. It's just too cool to pass up for myself. So I'm gonna be a little selfish and make myself a wallet out of this. But I really thought it would be fun to show you guys first. As a first look at this, I guess we're gonna call it Verdigris Cordovan. Up next here, I've got something I'm gonna put up on a flash sale today. This is a new product. Some of you may have seen it get slipped into a mystery box, but this is the packaging for our new coaster set we have. So these are the Chicago coasters that we've etched some art with. Actually, our design, our main logo was designed by the same person that designed these really cool coasters. Her name is Elaine Chernoff, and I'm really happy with how these turned out. We had started this project maybe 5 or 6 years ago making these designs, and we weren't able to get this large of an impression on our hot stamping machine, so we ended up getting a laser etching machine to put the artwork on there. So finally got them done after all these years. So I've got these at home. I really like them. I think it's good for somebody that maybe doesn't live in Chicago anymore but used to live here and wants to remember a little bit of their hometown. And you'll even notice we sort of threw in the original name for the Sears Tower. All right, up next here, this is a 5-year-old daily worn wallet. This is a Johnny the Fox, and it doesn't look like it anymore, but this was color number 4 on the outside, so I brought a color 4 brand new one here to show you the difference. Take a look at how much that has changed over time. That is really, really cool. And this one has a mock interior that I thought was extra special. So this is what 5 years of daily use on the mock interior looks like. It's gotten a really nice sheen to it, a nice luster, and it's darkened up quite a bit, as you can see, compared to the original here. So what I really like when I look at this 5-year aged Johnny the Fox in that color 4, I like how the luster has deepened a bit. I don't know, it might be difficult to see on the video here, but this luster, as it starts out, is very nice. It's very bright and shiny, but it's sort of one-dimensional. And then when I look at how it's worn in, there's sort of this like depth of luster. It's almost like there's a luster coming from underneath the leather, and then an additional bright, shiny luster over the top, which is just a really satisfying look to me. I'm really happy with how all the shell ages, but I was really glad to see this one come back. And even though it unfortunately came back for a stitching repair, it's just great to see these things in person. So here is a Whiskey Shell Cordovan Bugs Moran, and I don't have an exact date on how old this one is. If I had to guess, I'd say maybe 2 or 3 years. But that Whiskey Shell Cordovan has just aged really nicely on the inside and the outside. So I brought a new I just pulled a new one out of the our stock over here. So you can really see how much that color has changed over time. I always describe it to people as darker and more golden, and I think you can see what I'm talking about here. It's almost like a reddish tone that it starts to pull out from underneath. That's really cool. So these are fun to look at for me because this was the whole reason I started making wallets in the first place, is I just love to see how the stuff changes over time. It looks like this has not been polished at all on the inside, so we could fill in and minimize some of these scuffs and scratches a bit. But some people really like to just beat it up like I do on the Shell Viberg boots I have. I just like beating them up, and I think they look cooler that way. But you could definitely fill these in a little bit. You may never get rid of the scratches altogether because the shells are microscopically abrasive. So when it's in your pocket and it rubs together with the raised letters and numbers on your cards, like you can see where the numbers and letters on the cards here were, when it rubs together it sort of scuffs and scratches because the shells are actually abrasive to each other, which is why sometimes I suggest the reversed Cordovan, and that's the reason. Okay, we are on to some beautiful stuff that we're shipping today. I've got a small selection here because I need to abbreviate this video. We've got a lot to ship out to make sure everybody gets their wallets for the holidays here, but I've really had to show you this 100% Shell Cordovan, black Shell Cordovan Johnny the Fox, and check out how sweet that black interior is. It's very, very difficult for us to get the appropriately thin pieces of Cordovan for the interior of these Johnny the Foxes, and as you can see, it's not thick. But if we use sort of just the regular shells, 80% of the shells what we get, this would just be honking thick. So there's less than 20% of the shells that are appropriately thin for this type of wallet. So these are kind of rare to get, and somebody out there is very lucky to have picked this one up. It's a really good looking Johnny the Fox. And I have another Johnny the Fox here. I picked these, basically our process, we start finishing all the edges on the wallets when the orders come in, and then we leave them on the table and pack them and ship in the afternoon. So what I do is I look at all the stuff that we've prepped out, and I just pick stuff that looks amazing, or maybe there's some sort of story I can tell. Today they're all foxes. So I just had to pick this one up because this whiskey shell is just super, super nice. This one's actually a little darker and more red, and it kind of starts to encroach a little bit on the amaretto color when you look at it at certain angles. Like this way it looks like whiskey, but when I flip it, it starts to look a little bit more orangey. But this is whiskey shell, and I just had to pick this one because it's so nice. It's just so nice. I've actually had a couple people messaging with me today on our site about this exact wallet, so maybe you're out there checking this one out right now. These are really great. All the whiskey with the reverse interiors are really exceptional right now. And last up today is a black marbled Shell Cordovan Johnny the Fox. There's only a couple left of these. I was just looking through them. The ones that we have left have a little bit less contrast on the outside. They're a little bit more flat in color with a little less marbling, but you do see some gradient between the green and the blue and the bits of black in there. There's a little less orange on the stuff that's left in stock, but there are, I believe, 2 left. And this has that really great reverse interior that I prefer. All the Johnny the Foxes today I'm really excited about. So thanks so much for checking this out today. I'm super excited about everything I showed you, but I really want to come back to this new Verdigris Cordovan tumbled thing, because this is super cool, and it's my hope to show you a little bit more of the process when we go to make this one, because I think this is just extra special, and I think when it's actually turned into an item, you'll start to see it will start to make even more sense. Sometimes with too big of a context like this on a piece of leather, it's hard to appreciate some of the nuance in here, but there's incredible texture and color, and all the patterning in here is just really, really nice. So I think that's going to come through even better when I cut it and put it into a wallet. Stay tuned for that, and thanks so much for checking everything out. I'll be back again tomorrow.